You go here. Yeah. Need to go into a larger. Yeah. Which one is basically my own.
Hello, Bill. Y'all were talking, I didn't want to interrupt. Doing good, how about you?
That's what I was about to say.
You did?
Yes.
Pretty good. Mom keeps me busy as usual. Both. Yeah, we did one today, pretty rough. I'm good for about 6 hours. I can't go over. We turning people down. Turning people down. Well, every once in a while, if you need somebody to pop in. Yeah, we do. I know where it keeps the snicker ball. I got a rule of thumb. I haven't used it in 6 months.
It's 7 o'clock, so we'll get started here. I'll call the meeting to order and ask the town clerk to call the roll, please.
Alex Bissett.
Here.
Dan Gritsko.
Here.
Meredith Hines.
Here.
Bill Heisen. Eileen Morse. Here. Eddie Payne.
Yeah.
Mayor Smith.
Here. Thank you. You'd like to join me in the pledge of allegiance? Please stand. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, item G is the regular meeting consent calendar, which includes the approval of tonight's agenda, approval of the minutes from March 18th, May 13th, August 9th, session. And approval of the financial report for this past June. Is there a motion to approve the consent calendar?
So moved, Mr. Mayor. Looking over here.
All in favor?
I don't know how important this is, but the March 18th minutes don't say minutes.
Want to just make a motion to edit those?
Just if we can, instead of meeting agenda, we could just have meeting minutes.
Yeah.
How do you want to handle it?
I would just make a motion second, just because it's your own record.
First, go to the amendment of the motion. To include that correction.
I think you all said yes on it, so it might be a separate motion. Yeah,
So, was the clerk like to read back the motion?
Ingrid's going to make the motion to approve the agenda, the 3 sets of minutes and the financial report. Would you like to add to your motion to,
I would love to include it, I would say, minutes. In March.
Yeah, that would do it.
Second, the amended.
Have an amended motion, it's been seconded, any further discussion on it? All in favor? Opposed? Okay. Before we get into the public forum, we have our supervisor, Mike Pruitt with us this evening, so I'm gonna give him a few minutes to speak to the group. There's probably a couple of things he needs to get to down the road, running back and forth, but it's good to see you. Over to yours.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's fine if I take the podium, Madam Chair. I appreciate it. All right, so I wanted to begin by just apologizing. I know I've been a little scarce at town meetings lately. As I shared with Mayor Smith, I did get married about 2 weeks ago, and I've been out of town a lot in preparation for that. My husband had lived out of town, so I wanted to spend a little bit of time down at his place before he had to say goodbye to his future. So I hope you'll be seeing me a lot more in the coming months. I want to also let y'all know that I have started some initial conversations. I don't get to set the agenda for the Albemarle County Board of Supervisors. I am the most junior member. That being said, I've started some initial conversations with the chair and the vice chair, as well as the clerk, about identifying potential times that we could be setting aside for a joint session with the Scottsville Town Council and the Albemarle Board of Supervisors. I know there's been some desire for that to be an annual occurrence. I'm not sure the appetite there for annual is at the Board of Supervisors level, but we might be looking toward planning something biannually. My intention would be to try and get something before the end of the calendar year, but we'll see how much the schedule can support. And I will give y'all more details on that as it emerges. I shared this with Mayor Smith, but I'll share this with council in general, that if there are specific things that you think are really urgent that you would like discussed at the county level, I'm open to ideas that we can bring together for whatever package we're gonna have for that joint meeting discussion. I'd be happy to send over some gems we have some previous years if that would help kind of get things permanent. I was really happy that we were able to help support with the street sweeper in time, well, not in time for, but immediately following this year's 4th of July parade. I'd love to get general feedback from y'all, as well as anything you've heard from your constituents in the community, as well as to see if that is something that you'd like going forward, and we can potentially schedule that as a recurring thing annually. I know my predecessor had tried to get maybe more recurring than that, something like monthly, and there was told that there were not resources to support, but something in more limited capacity, especially supporting your major festivals, I think we can definitely see. There are a few other things I want to make sure that we're keeping on the horizon. We are looking forward to, and I know this is traveling away for folks, but we are looking forward to opening Biscuit Run Park. It's notionally scheduled actually for this calendar year. I'm a little suspicious. I drive by that construction site every year or every day. But that is the plan, and that is potentially going to be another asset that folks on the south side can use. Granted, 20-minute drive to use, but still something that might be worth the hype if it has all the amenities that we're planning going in. Additionally, I know it's been expressed to us previously, it's rather expressed to me previously, that you'd like to see some of the resources that y'all put a lot of energy into, the Van Cleef Natural Area, represented on some of the county's material moving forward. We've taken some steps to do that, so that is going to be added to our webpage. We're going to have to be working with Javi a little bit to make sure we actually know what we want it to say on there, and it's going to have a disclaimer that says the county does not manage the park. That being said, y'all put a lot of really great work into it as a town into that resource, and I see no reason you can't promote it for y'all's good. So I hope you do that. And there were 1 or 2 other things I was going to write down to share with you, but I have to confess I drove all the way from Richmond and got a snag of traffic and only just made it here right before the meeting starts. If anything else pops up, I will send it to you. But I would also like to, if there's any outstanding questions from council, and while I'm answering those, I can maybe think of whatever those last 2 items were.
Any questions for Supervisor Flutie?
Congratulations. Oh, thank you. I should also mention, early voting does start, this Friday. That is going to, early voting is only done at the county office on Fifth Street, not the county office building, in Charlottesville, not the one downtown, but the one on Fifth Street. They'll be open weekdays, starting this Friday. And of course, we'll have it down here in Scottsville Elementary, at actual election. That's all.
Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you.
Next on the agenda is the public forum. We do have a public hearing element in our agenda for the scan lease. So if you're here to talk about scan, you have an opportunity later on. This public forum to items older than scan. So if you wish to speak, now's your time. Come to the podium, say who you are, who you're representing, and you have a few minutes to get your point across.
I'm Debbie Smith, and I represent Scottsville Town Council. I'll give some background of how why we're here today. About 6 weeks ago, maybe 7, family blew off in the fan in the ceiling of the building. Just
But then leave.
late. And at the farmer's market, yeah. It didn't hit anybody, but it could have. We have a lot of families, we have a lot of kids. It could have been a huge liability. So that day, I happened to have left early, and I get a call from a vendor that family blew on. Like, we'll call the farmer's market manager and let them know so they can get with the town and get this taken care of. Don't know if that happened. But following week, somebody had cut the fan and the lights on in the ceiling, and the fan's doing this and scraping and all this stuff. So I'm like, this thing's gonna fall on somebody. Let me cut it off. And rarely am I the voice of reason. Okay, let me just be straight with that. So I cut the fan off and went on through the day. Well, later that day, a vendor came to me again and said, Caitlin, what? The farmer's market manager did not come to pick up my payment. Can I give it to you? And I'm like, yeah. I don't mind helping people find their spot. I don't mind cutting off fan. I don't mind opening the bathrooms. I don't mind doing any of that. Because I used to be the farmer's market manager. But when it comes to money, if I don't have a receipt book, I'm not taking anybody's money. So later, I guess that next week, I met with Javier and kind of scheduled to have this meeting. And I have brought some reinforcements because you all hear from me all the time. And I just want to make sure the point is made that there are long-term vendors that have watched that pavilion just decline over the years. It's got to be 20 years old or a little more than 20. Very little has been done for maintenance and upkeep. But the vendor fees keep going up. We have a number of fans that don't work. They're at the very tip top. I don't even know how much good they do. The lights are out. We have light bulbs out. We have some wires, not raw wires, or naked wires, but wires showing in some of the lights in the bays. And for the last 2 years, if not 3, the vendor fees have gone up. I understand the need for that, but I guess my concern is the town manages that building, the facility, everything that happens there. You all graciously ensure that. My concern is with the known issues. And if that fan, say, falls out of the roof and hits somebody and hurts someone, that no one can say, oh, that was in bad shape. it's in bad shape. The bathrooms aren't always clean. Like 3 weeks ago or something like that, there was something dead in one of the trash cans, and it didn't just die Friday. Okay? It stunk. As soon as you walk up, everybody that came, it's like, I could see their faces when they walked into the pavilion. What does that smell? And it wasn't a smell, it was a stench. I mean, it was nasty. We still have the problem with the birds. I went down there before the meeting and it looks great. The pad has been cleaned. Apparently the bathrooms were clean because they were locked. I didn't walk around all the trash cans, so I didn't smell anything, no bird poop, no, you know. So I know it can be done. I know it can be in better shape. As far as the manager, that is a personnel issue, and I don't think this is the appropriate place to talk about that. But it is an issue that needs to be resolved. There's no advertising, there is no communication, not even Facebook posts on Morning of the Market. And you know, and it's just the crowds, it's time of year, kids are back to school. You know, foot traffic always declines around this time of year, it's not a big deal. But you know, just the overall building, it's a beautiful building, it has bathrooms, we have lights, it's covered, people have to drag tents there every week. It's a wonderful place. And I'm not saying that vendor fees are outrageous. I am just curious, what is being done with that money? I know that's always an issue here. I understand it. But if you have limited funds, I think it's the responsibility of the town to make sure those funds are being spent as wisely and as efficiently as they can be. And when you know, you have a facility, you know, it's gotta be it's like a home. Nothing gets better with time. You know, it's just an issue. So I've said all I'm gonna say. You know, I'll let whoever else discuss. I don't think anyone is gonna say, you know, I mean, we're at the end of the season. But I can tell you, if vendor fees go up next year and the facility is in the condition it's in, you're gonna lose some vendors. I understand from just talking to people around town, the town would like to market that as a venue. You know, for other events, other things, and I know some folks do. Use it. It honestly, you know, it's the only game in town, so they kind of have to. But it just needs to, it needs TLC. And major repairs before someone gets hurt. And I would hate to see the town of Scottsville be renamed for the kid that fan falls on their head. That will happen, because it were just, and I don't want you to say, I'm not throwing this out, that town dodged the bullet that blade didn't hit anybody. So. And that's a problem too.
Thank you, Debbie.
Thanks. And thank you all for the opportunity. I really do appreciate it. I should have started out with that.
Yes, I'll make it quick, she already covered everything. I'm Mike Boyce with Canby Farms, and I also do the market. And we were invited up here for tonight to have this conversation, and she already hit the topics I was gonna bring up. It was the ban. I was there when it happened. Just luckily at that moment, no one was standing there, but it wasn't just kind of fell, it was fell and shattered. You know, that's a serious liability issue. And then I've seen that fan run, and since then, out of balance, I'm surprised the fan hadn't fell yet. That's the big one, the liability issue. The other one is she mentioned that, smell. And it was coming from a trash can. And we were, we were watching for buzzards, because we thought it was like a dead deer or something. But it was a trash can. So, you know, it'd be nice if the trash cans were empty before market day, because it did run off customers. And then the third thing I want to bring up is, I've been doing the market now for, I'm gonna get 7 years, 8 years, something like that. Definitely seeing a decline in traffic. And I don't ever see any posts on Facebook in Scottsville. Yeah, there should be some sort, I mean, I know we can't do a big marketing campaign, and there's farmers markets all over the place. But, you know, people need to be reminded, you know, I would think there would at least be a couple posts, Facebook posts a week. You know, highlighting a vendor or welcoming new vendors. We have new vendors there, nobody knows about them. You know, and so some sort of, some sort of marketing needs to happen, because I'm seeing a decline in traffic. And therefore a decline in revenue. But we, like she mentioned, we are seeing prices go up for the space, which I still think it's a reasonable price, but prices go up for the space and the traffic declines, and I don't see any marketing that's a concern. But those are the three things that were on my mind.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
My name's Chris Gardner. I've been a vendor for probably 5-6 years. I'll be real fast, but I drove out here in Hazel Days. First of all, I think it's a very nice facility compared to many places. Like, I've set up on gravel and in back roads and hauled tents and not been able to park. So, first of all, thank you for having that there. Everything that they mentioned, yep, that fan made a lot of noise, woke us up. It was right at the end of the market. It was kind of quiet. There was the smell. Everything we mentioned is there. There are wires which you can see, things like that. Sometimes bees get in there. It's just, I'm not mad about it, because if we have an outdoor pavilion, you're just gonna have to get in and tighten things up every so often. But yeah, you guys are here. I see some of you guys there on various weekends, and I appreciate that. But yeah, if you weren't aware of it, it's probably time just for a little TLC to put some PM into there. That's really kind of what it is. I don't think it's about to fall over on our heads or anything like that. But yeah, if that had fallen and hit someone, you guys are gonna have a much worse day than we do about it. You know what I mean? And so heads up, it's out there. If you didn't know, if you don't know, great, you can't do anything about it. Shame on us for not mentioning it if we saw it. So sorry. Thank you.
Certainly. We, jammed up, just taking the fan down until we get a full premise solution.
Yeah, we turned it off. Some of the fans are really high up. So we
Yeah.
actually have to get up there. So part of the last week, and I think I spoke with Debbie about a month ago for an hour and a half. Was kind of prioritized.
Right after the Saturday, on the Monday after the Saturday fan event, I met with Javier and we talked about that, and about getting rid of those high up fans and reconfiguring the fan light situation over there. And kind of left it in his hands to figure out how we can pay for doing that and get it done as soon as possible. So if you want to continue on, I just want to get the background, if we weren't aware of it, we were working on it.
Yeah, I was informed about it, but like I said last week, electrical issues are the primary thing I would recommend as like the first task if we're looking at doing TLC on it. I do tend to agree that it needs a little bit of care. We keep the rates competitive, but also I think it's reasonable when you have rates increasing year over year, we take care of that pavilion, because that got built 09, 010 after the housing crash. So we're reaching about 15 years.
I've been here 17 years, and it was erected after I moved here.
Javier, you said you were informed. Who informed you?
Believe Debbie.
You believe this, Debbie?
Yeah, I think so. We talked,
Okay.
isn't that how we started the conversation? About a month and a half ago.
Okay, so my question is, when you have something like that happen, if you see something, say something, the vendors, of course, expect a good facility there. However, if they see something like you all witnessed this this fan problem, you need to go through the market manager, who in turn would come to you.
Yeah.
So was she circumvented? If she,
wasn't there.
She wasn't
oh,
there.
okay, see, so that's the point I'm making. So Debbie, I'll say the thing you won't say. We seem to have a bit of a problem with our manager, and you're not the only one that's heard it. I go down to the market too. I've heard it too. In fact, you and I had just a short conversation a couple of weeks ago. You may not remember it. But so it's shouldn't be coming to you, it should be coming from the manager to you and to you to us.
Yeah.
So we got a lack of communication, as you said. Secondly, I've been on town council 6 years, and there seems to be something in the water here that we want new things and we don't take care of what we have. The canal basin almost floated away with no water because it was rotting away. We got that done. Our previous town administrator had too much business elsewhere to take care of the town. So things were left undone. So I want you all to know that we have had discussions, these folks sitting up here, about the farmers market. And our present maintenance staff is doing a lot better job catching up, but he's only one person. And last year, September through the closing, every day of the week, I was at the restrooms and cleaned up when it was necessary. And we had someone that was, getting, paid above maintenance. It was a housekeeper here. And she took care of them and took a lot of pride and got a lot of compliments. If that's deteriorated, I would have to say that there's been a lack of communication between our administrator and maintenance as to the appearance of those. And maybe a new schedule should be set to make sure that on Friday, everything down there is checked before Saturday, without fail. That's the way I did it. It can be done.
I want to be clear, Counselor, he checks every Friday. When I started.
You talked to him about that. I don't know his schedule, you see.
But just for the record,
Just for the record, I think Friday, what time does he get off?
he gets off usually at 3. So
3
part of
on
his Friday
Friday.
record is,
Well, maybe
For
about
example-
1:30, go down there, check things out and let's get the dead animals out the trash cans and the bathrooms clean for Saturday. Because it gets used more on Saturday than not. And, are they being locked up every night?
Yeah.
No.
not every.
Well, every night, every day has a night. We agreed over a year ago to lock them up every night. Let's get that done. So there's a lot of people who've been negligent in their job and a lack of communication. So I'll stay on this. Thank you.
But I want to
Everybody.
be clear for my employee, that was one of the priorities when we began. He consistently attends Friday, cleaning the pads, cleaning the bathrooms. And then after I had a conversation with Debbie, I wanted to put up a sign-up sheet so that it isn't just me meeting with him Friday, having a conversation, him and me talking about making sure we get it ready for the weekend. There's also a record that he writes down. So he's been consistently doing about that. He also changes trash cans. He checks them the Friday. That might have been an oversight, but I think it's an errant example when he is very consistent.
Well, why would the bathrooms be in bad shape Saturday when the farmers market opens? If you looked at them Friday, either they weren't locked or someone messes them up, which I have seen myself, or it wasn't done. So, I mean, there's no reason why those bathrooms shouldn't be sparkling when the farmers market opens up at 9.
Well, I do want to clear that up. I have seen improvement. I would
Yes,
dispute that. It has improved. And I think that particular Saturday, it was just kind of fan broke. Then this, then that, and then the stench on the trash cans. It was like, oh my God, I'm about to have it. So that's how I got to the point I was at to schedule, to be able to speak tonight at the meeting. But no, I have seen an improvement in the restrooms, they really have.
Well,
Yes.
and that's good feedback too, because too
Yeah.
often we hear the
Positive,
negative
yeah.
and we don't hear some of the positive, and that's
Oh,
good.
no,
And actually, I'm really glad that you all came, because I've heard things on the street, but not from people like yourselves who are there every week. And if people don't come, you know, it's he said, she said, and I can't really act on it, right? So I and probably most of my colleagues here appreciate the fact that you took the time tonight to come. I suggest, can we put this on the agenda for next time? I think the marketing one is a really good. I mean, there are maintenance issues certainly, and those are very serious. I understand that, but I think the marketing too is a really important point. As I go to a number of farmers markets in Nelson County, even up near Lynchburg and Forest. And they all do a really great job of marketing, and I think it does make a big difference. And I think we do need to make that a priority for the community.
And just to piggyback off of what I need to say, there are. Someone, I forget who said, you know, we can't do a PR blitz. There's no reason why we can't do a PR blitz. There are flyers that can be put in, you know, every storefront in Scottsville. There are free community calendars on radio stations that can be mentioning it. There could be multiple Facebook posts a week, whether it's on the Scottsville government page, whether it's on the Scottsville Town Facebook page, you know. We can do a marketing blitz, and
maybe some cross support from the county would help if we're, you know, if we're looking to advertise. One of the comments I hear is that there are vendors who say there's not enough traffic, not enough money, they're gonna go to Charlottesville. Or other markets where there are a number of people. We really have to, you know, in a rural community like ours, I think it's really important to keep that rural feel, and the farmers market is integral to that. So I do think, you know, as much cross posting or advertising on the site or whatnot, you know I've talked to the manager about even alternate days or something like that. And I know some people that doesn't work for their schedule, but it might be nice to even have a working session with some of the vendors on this too, if you're all alone. So, but let's maybe take it up next.
I think we have a structural meeting for the market coming out before next season, but there's some big issues.
I think that's a great idea to have.
As long as the big safety concerns are addressed.
Yeah, those are a non-starter, right? Those have to be taken care of.
Just to let you know too, we do have plans to renovate, but it was gonna be after the mowing season. To do a lot, so it looks like we need to get going on that earlier than that, but there's been multiple conversations with unfortunately with other people who know about the market and what needs to be done, but that's it's going to be done over the winter. But maybe we need to get started on that earlier.
Council, if I may, you might be familiar with the Visit Charlottesville media, the bus that
Yeah.
comes out to events, as well as the online presence. That is also a joint venture of the county. And we do promote the Scottsville Farmers Market as well as other farmers markets that are in the county.
Is it on the page?
Through there, it is on the Visit Charlottesville.
Okay.
We don't have a separate location, say on the county government website, because frankly, they're not government ventures with the
Right.
farmers markets. But if there is going to be some kind of strategic plan on behalf of the town of Scottsville to increase promotions, I'd be happy to see what we can do through our community engagement staff to potentially signal boost that. I know there's also when the market reopened earlier this year for the season, I took the opportunity from the dais to discuss that during our opening remarks, and I know Supervisor Malik, who represents the Whitehall district, frankly, the other big rural district, right? Took the opportunity to say, yeah, we should be promoting this one. So I think there's probably some synergy and some interest. If there is a desire to promote that more, I'm sure we can get some support.
Yeah, the county folks may have some good ideas too and feedback for us on that. Okay.
Would just like to make a comment to Javier and your employee. Maybe there should be some sort of checks and balances in the morning of the farmer's market, because the employee may be doing their due justice by checking, but there's a lot of traffic there after hours
Mhm.
that could be a potential issue.
Well, the maintenance, they don't work on Saturday. They work on Friday. So I suggested, Friday afternoon. We're paying someone to manage that market. They should either be there at the opening or the closing for the vendors. Not for the patrons, for the vendors, because they're the ones paying the money. So we've got to get this person down there to do the job. And I think if we hit those two bases, we can steal a third, so.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Okay, any other comments on farmers market? Thank you all for coming tonight.
Thank you for having us.
Here's the report, I'm not gonna go over there.
I mean,
I will.
Mayor? Could Amelie speak?
Oh, okay.
Give an update on.
Yes, ma'am.
I just wanted to give a quick update for tonight. So I have passed out, some pictures of the free little libraries, that my family and I made over the weekend. As one of 2 free little libraries that will be going up in town. They have to be painted, they're gonna be nice red and yellow color, that was approved by the ARB, and, I'm thinking with the way that, with the progress we're making, it should be done by the end of the month, maybe, I'm thinking, yeah. And, so I just wanted to let you know that they are being built now, and that we're gonna paint them and, set them up. One will go at Bruce Park, and one will go at the a butterfly garden. And I just encourage you also to please bring in books that you have on your shelves that you might want to get rid of and see, and just take a book and leave a book. We will also be putting up plaques on the buildings itself that say courtesy of Scottsville Literary Festival and family. It will also say book note on it, and it will have a little like flag that says take a book, leave a book. So it'll be really nice, and it will just I've seen other communities that have free little libraries, and happy that I'm happy that our community will have a free little library.
Looking forward to it.
Now, you go to, the matchings, the books, and, checking out those, and what I'm concerned about is if somebody brings 15 books and there's no place they're really gonna leave them, then should they bring them to you, or is there gonna be storage for these things, or how's that work?
Usually with the take a book, leave a book, if it's full.
So don't bring more than one.
You can bring more than one, but normally it's, you bring one and you take.
But it's not a book drop though.
Right.
I can see, there's people who have all kinds of books and they're just gonna, bring boxes of books. And they do that in the library already, so, I think that, you don't wanna leave them out in the weather.
Right.
And, we're not getting to you, so it's just all self-managed by the people who use the books and they, okay. So that needs to be real clear, so that if it doesn't fit, take it home with you or something like that, but, so we're not.
Yeah.
I think the community uses these. It's pretty self-managed.
You think so?
Yeah.
Okay.
And this could be a secondary drop site, and she can come
Yeah.
down and pick them up.
Well,
I mean, I will check on them, and just make sure that.
periodically.
Yeah, just periodically, but the materials, they're all made to be weatherproof as well, and it just got a coat of primer on it, so it should be very weatherproof. And I got plexiglass for the windows, so it's also anti-vandalism.
Just the idea, I mean, one of them should just be for children, you know.
That's what the plan is. The one at the butterfly garden, I planned on having that just be
Okay,
for
that's
children.
good.
And then
Yeah,
the one at Bruce Park is for YA.
that's good. Okay, good.
So the one that's gonna be at the butterfly garden, it's gonna be like at the entrance of the butterfly garden, or is it gonna be in the butterfly garden?
I'll have to look and see what might be better, but maybe at
Whether
the
it's you.
entrance so that people can see.
No, it's, yeah, I was just, I mean, whatever you think is best, but just a personal, you know, that, I think it'll get more traffic if it's kind of
Yeah,
near the entrance and people realize that it's there.
That's a really great.
One thing, I had a question for the group. There was someone who stopped me, even George, I'm not sure. Do we own the property at Butterfly Garden?
Yes.
We do, the town owns it.
Yeah.
Undoubted.
Yes.
Okay. Just wanted to check.
We researched it.
Because somebody told me the town doesn't own that property, and I was like,
Oh,
I
no,
thought
we
the
do.
town owned the property.
We researched it when we were thinking about what property value, what items we have.
The assets, the town assets.
That's the word.
I'm glad we didn't. That's, but I was pushing real hard to get the owner of the Mason building there to buy it. I'm glad we didn't. And now with this, I'm glad we didn't.
Yeah, and these are the colors, just,
Oh, nice.
the building will be red and the trim will be this straw yellow kind of color.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
As I was, going to say, I'm not gonna go over the stuff, but I went over the work session, I've just got 3 things here. Want to thank Alex Stone from the James River Good Works Group for the, Preacher Britain Small event yesterday. He actually put some people together to play music, which we did. When I got down there about 1:30, it must have been 200 people. The pavilion, it was
Wow.
packed.
Wow.
Packed. And it stayed that way until we finished about 3:30, and then it was down to probably just the vendors and a few others, but it was a big crowd down there. So we're real happy for that. Liz not gonna come tonight and give an update on next Saturday's Nurture Nature event. And her son has a sore throat, so she didn't want to leave him in that condition. And I told her I'd mention it for her, so next Saturday is Nurture Nature.
Nurture with nature.
This Saturday.
Now we got that one.
Yes, this Saturday.
Stan's involved, a lot of people are involved with this, so. Make sure you take advantage of the opportunity. As you know, we spoke that there's been 2 vacancies for some time on the Board of Zoning Appeals. Javier and I meeting with very long, the chairman tomorrow afternoon. In the meantime, I have talked with several people. I've got 2 people, one were very interested in applying for one of the positions and one that is thinking seriously about it. So we'll go over that tomorrow and see what happens. And that's all I have. So I'm the administrator.
Yeah, I'll just go through my staff report. So I just ask that all the maintenance recommendations and priorities and concerns go through the town administrator. I think the mayor didn't touch upon that. We followed up with George Goodwin as a special liaison.
I've got the doors
Now.
We have to advise on the advisory position, we advise on maintenance issues with the farmers market pavilion and sort of be a liaison with the county on the water main
Oh, good.
project, so he can keep us updated on what's going on.
That's great.
So it's probably here, obviously, you can't stay down there all day.
Right.
We're doing stuff.
Some jackhammer.
Jordan's gonna be involved.
Mr. Mayor, that it says, please direct, who are we talking to there? Are we talking to council or Scottsville
The
Public?
town administrator.
No,
No, please direct.
No, it's from staff, so Javier is telling us and others that any maintenance requests come through him, right?
Okay, well, we just met with these vendors. Do they go through the manager? And then to the administrator or? So this is contradictory.
Oh,
then.
that-
Well, no, this is basically,
This was.
don't stop. Jam on the street and say
Right.
this
This
needs
is
to be
for-
done, that
this is
needs to
for-
be done.
this is for
Like,
the
let
council.
Javier know that things need to be done, and Javier. Jam doesn't have 5, 6, 10 supervisors,
Right.
1 supervisor. So if there's stuff that people want done in the town, talk to Javier about it, not directly to Jam, I think is what.
Okay, I can understand that. But it seemed to be contradictory when a major maintenance problem, we're talking to these vendors to talk to the manager and then come through, you see,
Well, we have to solve that communication.
yeah.
Well, that's.
That's the point I'm making.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I just want to make a point too that I've seen maintenance, lots of concern to maintenance. And I've usually take a picture and send it to Javier and he tells Jen to do it. And he actually takes care of that stuff in a pretty timely manner.
Oh.
And I appreciate that because the parks, you look at some of the trash cans or some of the signs in town and just take a picture and send it to him. And he'll get to it pretty quickly. And there's a follow-up.
I agree with you, Bill. I think it's a little bit more of a nuanced conversation, but I wanted to be very clear. I'm very proud of Jam's work. I think he's very responsive. I think that we need to improve some communication, some maintenance, and I think that will clarify some of the concerns we've heard before. For example, the event was well attended, but the farmer's market was very much a mess this morning. He immediately communicates with me, and the fact that they came in today and said that it looked great and spotless is because Jam spent the morning working on it. We had an unexpected amount of people for a good and useful event, but again, he comes in on a morning and he prioritized it and shifted from what he was initially gonna work on.
Yeah, and that's important.
And he's doing a good job. It's a lot to do in this town. He's doing a good job.
One person.
I've heard compliments outside of this.
He's communicative, so I like that. It makes my job easy. Beyond that, the field day occurred Monday, last Monday, so the 9th. Auditors from RFC complimented the staff on the orderliness of our books. That's due credit to Melanie Porter joining us on staff. I'll hit the broad notes on our financial statement. I want to thank Melanie for completing our June 2024 financial statements. At that point, we have our 12 months on last fiscal year. The town's cash flow position is stronger in June 2024 compared to 23, with 50,000 more in the general fund compared to this time June last year would be the better way of saying that. Beyond that, our LGIP accounts, despite conversations about changing interest rates, still have some very strong returns, especially compared to recent years where interest rates were rock bottom. Beyond that, the June 2024 reappropriation that I presented to council was contributed to a more accurate estimate of the end of the fiscal year 23-24, ended with 60,000 more in gross revenue than expected in the budget. That's primarily due to meals tax landing over the calendar year, a stronger Melanie, we talked about the 3 of them. Do you remember? A stronger cigarette tax, and then the third one was a stronger franchise tax.
Right.
So we benefited from that. So that's a 0.07 difference from what I estimated on it. So I think that's kudos to me. I'm gonna say it. Nobody else. Fiscal year 2023 ended with
It's a
expense.
thankless job out there.
Self-packing.
Yeah, you've got to.
Have a
do
cake.
it. You gotta do it.
He came under 40, so that's half of a point off from what I proposed to council and asked for them during a reappropriation. Beyond that, we'll update the town council once the auditor's findings are available. We're still shooting for the end of the year, beginning of next year, to stay on track with auditors. Once the auditor's finding, we'll use that as a comparison to our bookkeeping and financial management. And as I mentioned, I think last month, we're on track. Once the auditors present their audit, to do a presentation for town council to wrap up the year. Beyond that, town staff is progressing on council minutes. Again, I want to thank Molly Angevine for assisting us with that. We are now into the calendar year. Melanie is also approaching it with a new, as you can tell from her desk right now, or our desk, a new approach, which we hope will lead to faster minutes, working during the meetings. Beyond that, I want to thank all the volunteer help we got this summer to catch up back on paraprofessional work. So I think it exhibits the value of having staff that, or in this case, volunteers that are able to help with paraprofessional work. It allows your two staff members here to prioritize other priorities, including website maintenance, grant work, and capital. So again, as I recommended last year, I think it's prudent in the future to consider a third staff member to be able to stay on track on these items. But beyond that, that is everything I have for a staff report, Mayor. And Council.
Any other questions for Javier?
See you guys Saturday.
Thank you, Javier. Thank
you. Thank you.
Committee reports, Mr. Bissett, anything to add?
All quiet on the ARB process.
Planning commission, I know, Dan and I have talked a couple times over the weekend on, what's our last week's work session, so I'll ask Dan to report on that.
Yes, council may remember the interest in getting an update and plans from the planning commission in October. So Mayor and I talked to our chair and relayed that message. And the plan is to have something that comes to the council. I'm not sure if it'll be what level it'll be, but there'll be a report that comes from the planning commission for next month. So
Well, what I think we're interested in is a draft, a final draft that we can edit and then finalize before the end of the year. Is that what we're talking about?
we're talking, yeah, I explained the interest in that. I relayed that to the chair.
And is that what's coming? Is that what we can expect?
Well, what's coming from the chair has to talk to the town administrator, they have to talk to Lincoln.
We still need to make this happen to make the end of the year. I think it's non-negotiable.
I'll follow up with
Whatever they have has to be the final draft.
I asked Dan to inform Lisa that it was a wish of the council to have at least a rough draft of the whole thing by next work session.
Right.
So we can look over it, talk about it, and then schedule a public hearing for our council meeting in November. On the top plan.
So that it can get approved
Well, I
before.
have asked.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm wondering, what are we getting? That I'm not clear on
I
that.
what you're saying, I'm just telling you what I have asked for from the commission.
Sure, and that's been relayed and I don't control the commission and I don't control the chair, so I let her know what the council wanted, and she's gonna be talking to the town administrator.
Well, but it's curious to me, who's driving the bus? Does council drive the bus or does planning commission drive the bus? I mean, there is a requirement, I believe it's at the state level, right, to have this done by the end of the year. In order for council to review and approve that, what we're saying is it has to be on this desk by the work session in October. So they need to meet that date. It is not a negotiable date at this point. It was supposed to be in March, then it was June, and it keeps getting pushed back.
I mean, it
October.
was supposed to be December.
Yeah,
And we
Yeah.
did extend Lincoln's pay another like 4 months. Because he said he could get it done, when it didn't get done in December when we were promised it. He said he needed 4 more months, January, March, to April.
right.
Um,
And whatever they have needs to be
Yeah.
brought forward.
Well, I think
I'm sorry.
I think it's reasonable to request, again, I'm a member of the plan.
Yeah, no, and I'm not faulting you. I'm just, I think we need a strong message to go that this needs to be done, period, end of story.
Sure, and I think all those things will be conveyed.
Yeah, whatever they have, not just conveyed, whatever they have by work session is the final draft that needs to come to council.
town staff has clear direction on that. And then I think asking the liaison to communicate this with the chair is an attempt to make it a strong message. So it's just not only staff communicating it, but also your conduit from your town council as a whole
Right.
towards the planning commission.
Well, and from what I understand, that message has been communicated, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, we need to stick to that deadline because we're way behind.
Yeah.
And I do want enough time to review that document in some detail.
Yes, I think that's appropriate.
Thank you.
Anything else?
I think that would be it, Mr. Mayor.
Anything you want to do? You got to-
I mean, same as always, got, nurture with nature and the next month, so.
you know,
We got a lot of tree houses that I'm putting together and, doing all that, so.
Is it all eight? I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say, is it, just like I didn't know about this in the last minute, that's not your event, but these events that are not sanctioned by the town, it's like this should be. No, I'm talking about this one, or the last one that was up yesterday. To put it on a bulletin board or put it on a website if possible, so that people know about it.
Well, no, Alex.
It's word of mouth.
Well, this last one, that was all James River Good Works. And I didn't know about it, but I was not involved in that one anyway. But I mean, I saw a number of things about it,
I'd like to know is if any of that period, that even if we don't do it, they should have like at least a poster somewhere so we can put it out.
Alex posted notices.
Downstairs.
Oh, yeah.
Usually good.
they just have everywhere. I saw it in stores, I saw bulletin boards that nature versus
We're gonna have a
nature
poster.
versus nurture.
There's a poster.
There are multiple.
There
all over
already.
town already. They do that for weeks.
I've seen them.
Yeah, no.
The Sunday event was downstairs. I pulled it out this morning.
Okay, good. There would be a bad budget.
Yeah, no.
They rented from us everything.
But this harkens back to the online marketing, right? Is it would be nice to have that Instagram push or the Facebook push for all these kinds of things.
I feel like I can, volunteer for, I mean, I do a lot of social media work anyway, in the preschool and the church. I mean, I feel like the Gen Z are saying this, I'm not, 50 years old, but I am very adept at social media. I'm happy to take over marketing pushes for the,
Hey, we have a channel,
You know.
right? I mean, we're just not maintaining. it.
yeah, we're thinking of, so if that's something that Melanie or Javier would like, if I could get access to our Facebook account, our Instagram account and stuff like that, I'll be happy to
I'll call you tomorrow.
do stuff with farmers market. and
He'll
events
text you
and
tonight.
stuff. Like, when I do events and stuff, I put it on not the government page, but like the Scottsville page and stuff like that, but. Public information out there.
That's right.
Who actually approved, the use of the facilities yesterday
He filled out an application
and submitted it to
me.
you? Okay, all right, so that was so it would be your responsibility as opposed to the market manager.
Yes, because it's just Sunday rental, Saturday rental.
Okay, so something like that's handled differently than the vendors.
Yes,
Oh,
exactly.
okay, that clears me up. And I went down to the thing, yeah, I can't go to one of these adopt a pet things. No, but I tell you what, there was one little dog there, my wife had to drag me out. Every time I go to one of those things, I bring somebody home, and in fact, she traded me in probably.
Bunnies, chickens, dogs, and cats.
Did they really?
Oh, yeah, I mean, at 11 o'clock, they were wide open down there, I didn't get to see the mayor, but, I mean.
Great. Good.
Oh, I'm telling you, it was people just pouring in and I pulled out of my parking spot and somebody pulled in right behind me. I mean, it was that fast. So it was nice.
If they name, I get it, James River Good Works. But they really, I've been to two of those things that Alex does, and I need to tap his brain. I don't know what his trick is.
Yeah, we have some magic there.
He has got some magic, like his events. I mean, even when it's something like a blood drive, like I've been to, Red Cross blood drives that James River Good Works has put on. And there were people at the door.
He's already sold over 100 Kentucky Derby tickets. for
Has he
Lions.
really?
That's how they're doing it.
Yeah, well, him, Stotzer over there.
Yeah, he definitely has something going on. He can throw it back.
It was just nice to have all those other people in there.
Yeah.
And maybe we could take some lessons learned for the farm.
Let's see, Mr. Hudson, you got any reports on anything you want to follow up on?
We have a couple of them on the agenda, so I won't go over that, the resignation of an appointment of planning commissioner, and also about having volunteers sign something about not being compensated. And the other thing is with government services, we came up with a list of to-do list for after the mowing season that Jan can work on, which includes the farm market, and among other things too. And we pass it over to Javier, and he's going to come to our meeting next month to work with us on what needs to be done on the off season. Much more, we'll have some more time, but there's a lot of little things that need to be done. For example, cleaning and all and painting all the trash cans. But there's several other things, so Javier on this, and that can be added to. So if anybody has anything they see in town that needs to be done in the off season, pass it on to Javier. As far as the parks, I do want to commend Javier and Jan for taking care of a few, the parks are looking good. I mean, the Van Fleet's looking good. I mean, we got some trails, but they follow through on a lot of the issues with the park, the picnic tables and maps and things like that too. We do have a couple of things that changed. We found out our $2,300 directional stop sign is only going to cost $400 because they consider us a government park, and so we get a deal for that. So let's say that's $1,900. And I also want to commend Jack for a couple of things. One, he with his magic maps, he found out where the park boundary is, and we're going to put a sign up there to let people know when they're leaving the park on the sewer trail. And he found that out by finding out what sewer borders the town. And so we mark that, and we're going to put a sign there saying that this is the end of the trail, or this is end of town property, and straight ahead is a scan property. So we found that out. We're going to we couldn't get the surveyor out of it, so he found a way to do that. And the other thing, Jack and I, we're going to put diamonds, black diamonds, vinyls on two trails that are challenged, so that people know that if you go on that trail, it's not easy. So we have marked on the map, but we want to have that on a sign saying that these trails, are difficult. And if you're older, or you have kids, or something, just know that this could happen. So we got that taken care of. So anyway, that's what we're looking at. So we got a few other things next month, but that's mainly what we've done. And if they're talking about volunteers, if there is volunteers, we do need volunteers to, pick up sticks, clean the trails and rake or weed eat or whatever. If anybody's interested in that, that would be good to do during the fall and the winter.
Any questions? All right, Mr. Morse.
EPC is just the emergency operations plan that we're working on. Jack is doing a lot of investigation and some background work on that. We are having our meeting this Thursday to start brainstorming on the threats. I don't know, Jack alerted me, I don't know if you saw, we had just been talking about school safety as a a priority. Orange County had an incident where a 6-year-old brought a gun to school. So, no, 6 years old. So, I mean, this is a real thing. We're gonna be looking at threat assessments and what our response in town should be, how we dovetail with the county plans. We wanna make sure we're not rewriting or overstepping our boundaries, but, so we're working on that. And then the follow-up to E911 signs. Since Supervisor Pruitt is here, I would like to thank you for your responsiveness on a recent grant that we tried to apply for and were unable to do so. But I know that Javier reached out to you, I think it was, and you tried to get it pushed through the county. And even though it wasn't possible on such short notice, I do appreciate that you picked up the phone and really tried to do your best to get that set up for us. So thank you for that.
I wanna just, again, apologize that there wasn't more we could do. I think through that process, we did also learn that there's a potential, I mean, frankly, maybe even an easier partner to work with in the TJPDC, the Town and Planning District Commission. So I reached out to them as kind of a second final option when I heard from our chief financial officer of the county that there wasn't going to be time to do due diligence. I was like, well, let's make sure we go through every possible thing in the Rolodex. So I reached out to the planning district can also serve as a fiscal agent. They do, they can also do technical assistance in a pinch if there's things that are beyond the town of Scottsville's capability. For example, I know they're providing technical assistance on a contract basis to the town of Mineral. So I think it was helpful kind of getting a sense of kind of some of the assistance and services they could provide. And you know, at the very least, it was a lesson learned and set us up for better luck next year.
Yeah, we're still pursuing that. Javier, have you made those calls that we talked about at the work session?
You can meet up with the county to learn about the grant process in a week. Had to reschedule it. And then
Did you talk to Jim about the Savannah contact?
not yet. I'm sending out an email on that.
Yeah, okay,
Reminder.
all right.
It's on my radar.
Okay, so that's it.
Any questions? I ain't got anything on anything.
You know, I think this is the first time since Chief Jenkins was hired that I haven't had a meeting with him face to face. We all saw him last week at the workshop, so whatever he talked about, and of course we all got copies of it, and that's all I would have to add. But to follow up on something that Eileen was talking about, and I'm glad Supervisor Pruitt is here because got in Georgia a week before last. I think it was, happened to be in Winder, Georgia, and I lived about 30 miles from there for a few years, rural area. Kid came to school with a rifle and was actually, he actually shot like at least four people. And the school resource officer was the one to intervene and subdued him, however. And if the school resource officer had not been there, I think this person could have done a lot more damage. Now, I don't know if we have school resource officers or not, or do we have them in every school, but you know, I just like for everybody to know that I have a strong feeling about having school resource officers and just to, if we do have them, back them all the way, 100%, anything they need, because we see this happen more than we should.
I would think that would be school board. I agree with you. I think they're important from the school. I don't know.
If council would like me to chime in. So Councilman Grisco is correct. So the school board had previously voted to, based on feedback from their constituents and the public at large throughout Albemarle County, to remove school resource officers, citing some concerns that contribute to the school and prison pipeline in certain populations. That being said, following some increased violence, specifically on the AHS campus, I believe there's a school resource officer back in place specifically at Albemarle High School. I'm not aware of one that is at Monticello High School or any schools in the southern feeder pattern at this time. But that would be something that you should bring to the attention of your Scottsville representative on the school board, if that's a change that you do want to see. So that's Ms. Osborne. I can also forward any of your concerns to that. Frankly, this is an issue I try and not weigh in on because it is firing lines that I don't need to be on from either side. And I will let the people who have been appointed to make that decision make that.
Well,
That's a problem. There seem to be sides.
yeah,
There shouldn't be
There should
any
be one
sides.
I will say.
protecting the children.
The piece of this that I do, I'm just making sure that the police department actually has the staff and personnel who are trained and capable to do that. I know from talking with members of our police advisory board that there is an element of cross training and frankly, community benefit that does come from this and that they work with the students, in their capacity on there. And that helps them when they encounter these young people out in the community. We do have the resources and we do have the staffing to be able to support them if the school doesn't have that asset.
Okay, we'll talk to Ms. Osborne, I guess.
Yeah, Supervisor, for 1 second, sorry. I did want to mention, we did talk about this at our last EDC meeting, and one of the things that was mentioned was this is obviously a county issue, these are schools or county schools, and the county would respond in kind. However, I think Scottsville needs to be engaged at some level because we could potentially, if you look at the case in Georgia, the traffic was blocked off for about 2 miles around the school as it was a crime scene. It needed to be, now we are a major thoroughfare in and out of Charlottesville. If something closes down the school, we will have to reroute traffic and Scottsville will get involved at some level to, at least redirect traffic and things like that. So there has to be some kind of coordination potentially there between that and alerting Scottsville that, okay, and I'm not sure that handshake is really in place.
Sure.
So it would be nice if we had firmer sense of, yeah, you'll get notified and here's what the plan is as we're going through our emergency operations, right? For traffic redirection, for severe weather and other things, right?
I'll reach out to the chief to talk to him about that.
Yeah,
Councilman Morrissey will be delighted to know that one of the 3 things that I thought might be of interest to the council in a joint meeting would be more discussion on our coordinated actions for emergency and disaster response.
Yeah,
But I think that ties right into that, because I agree, this is something I've heard, I think every meeting I've sat in on with y'all, coordinated emergency preparedness has come up. I don't know how much that is on the county's mind most of the time, but I know it's on y'all's. So I think that's very much something we should have our staff touch on.
and we've talked to them, we've talked to some of the county officials about that and sort of had a verbal assurance that we would be engaged more at the next go around. But their plan has already been developed, so it's a little bit late for that, but it would be nice to have a seat at the table for these discussions.
I appreciate that.
I'm sorry,
No, this is, I can say something.
well, it's not a public forum, but does anybody object to Stevie commenting?
Thank you. I appreciate it. Just, it baffles me, I work at Region 10 on a very part-time basis. And it baffles me that in this community, we don't have an outreach office for mental health, sort of outpatient assessments, whatever the case may be, here locally, because access is so difficult for some of the community members here. And I know they have one in Green, and they have one in Savannah, and they have one in Louisa. And I often wonder why Region 10 doesn't have an outreach, it doesn't have to be every day, but gosh, if somebody had a court mandate, or they had to pee in a cup, or they had to, their child was in trouble at school, and a therapist's office here in Scottsville on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and you can all take whatever position you want on prevention, but I'm telling you, as a 35-year mental health professional, prevention does work. And wouldn't it be something to get a Region 10 Scottsville office, so the people here don't have to go 55 minutes into Charlottesville? I'm done. Thank you.
They do have an office at the end of the community center.
Do they?
Yep, do they? I didn't know
That's 4
that.
miles away. And the other thing that I have been told,
In Yancey?
Yeah.
Yancey?
is that the group that wants to go in where the old pharmacy was over here is gonna have a region 10 person.
That's what I thought I had heard as well.
But obviously, Javier has learned that's been delayed for some reason. They haven't quite explained to anybody, and they still have plans to put all that in pharmacy space. But they won't tell us exactly why the delay is occurring.
I've asked nicely.
I bet I could guess it's stacking. I bet it. Anyways, thanks so much. I'll express myself. Thank you.
No, it's an important point.
So, any questions on anything? Let's go on and get to this scan lease. I think we talked about it, plenty, and what we'll do is open the public hearing on the scan lease. Any of those wishing to speak publicly about the scan lease or any parts of it, they put forward now as you can.
Well, I would like to say something. And I presented, this was presented earlier, but I just want to remind everybody what SCAN brings to the community, that, that we have, made major repairs to Victory Hall, or improvements, I should say, in the sound and the lighting, that we have had, many, theater presentations, we've had musical events, and we've measured in-house to see that all those months that we have these events, we're in the black. We don't struggle trying to, with our budget, restrictions. And I think too, that one thing that I know that art elevates a community. It does. And I think as we're bringing in the idea of new homes and trying to attract businesses and all that other thing, having seen, art and displays and exhibits and events like the farmers market, like the Danny Schmidt concert, like the PTP plays and all of that, is something that people are going to be invested in. And I think that and we appreciate, boy, I wouldn't be standing here if you guys hadn't been such wonderful landlords during the pandemic. Seriously, we would not have been here. But we're very fortunate to have many people in the community that support us. And I like the new lease, that we have proposed. And so I'm in support of the new lease. And that will give an opportunity for the new slate of officers that comes in December to really sort of make plans. We're in our strategic planning period now. And how is it that we're going to increase our revenue? We have a grant writer on board now, and we're very excited about the future of SCAN. So don't give up on us yet. We really do want to contribute, and we were just a little surprised, and but we did appreciate your generosity, and I think this will work. I think this will really. Thank you. And if you have any questions about what we're doing, I'm right here, and Ruth is here, and she's the vice president of SCAN, and we'll answer any questions you have about the way we operate. So thank you.
Any others in the public wish to speak at our public hearing? Hearing no takers, or put the public hearing, and now it is over to the town council for discussion.
Mr. Mayor, I would like to move that we accept that proposed budget. Proposed rent.
Well, mention bigger. Will be between 400 and 450.
Yeah, it's 400.
The motion is to approve the lease with a rental rate of $400 per month.
That is correct.
Is there a second?
I think,
Alex.
I didn't.
Move to second discussion.
The thing I would just like to say, the town has kind of tough finances, tough time for the town. we really are trying to be the best stewards we can be of the town resources. This property is important to the town. At the same time, we want to be as helpful as we can be to scan. Scan has been an incredible organization for the town. You actively we hear what's happening downstairs. You know, there's things going on as we hear. It's wonderful to see all that's taking place up on the property. We want to be supportive, and we think in good faith, and this compromise will be the way to do that.
The other discussion?
Well, I wrote up some things that I feel, but first of all, it's clear that SCAN, the value of its asset to the town, it provides many benefits, you know, the plays, the programs, the educational opportunity, there's no question about it. With that being said, looking at the big picture and point of view of the town financial responsibility, I want to share what I understand and some, you know, concerns I guess, and heard from others too. There's this year particularly, there's been less wasteful spending and careful, it's more careful, but the town has a limited budget. And we need more revenue, and if we go back, this increase was just one way to try to get some more revenue now, because we basically don't have a lot of money. And we have, and the rent was just one way, but we have so many community needs, and some of them were addressed here tonight. We got parks, we got sidewalks, we got roads, we got police, and then tonight we need farmers market, and there's a lot of infrastructure needs that we have, and also just our staffing needs. So that's a concern. In the past, if you follow our budget, we had to have, and almost every year, we seem to have to cut capital projects. We just can't get things done because we don't have money in. And we even had to put everybody on furlough a few years ago because we didn't have enough money. So that is the concern. And then now there's talk of hiring more people, and there's also been talk of having a separate town property tax. So money is an issue, and so you know you know, we started out, you used to pay $600 and then went to 300, and now it's going to 400. I actually think it's very low, and I think it should be 450 or even higher. But I don't know your situation, but I know the town situation, and it would be good to have you know, have a SCAN pay a fair and make sacrifices like we're making sacrifices. And I know you could do fundraising, but I just feel like we could use every extra dollar we can get. So I have a hard time with just going up a little bit. And I think it's low as it is, and I just think it's a deal. But anyway, that's fine. I know I know most people don't do that. I just feel like it should be a fair share, and it should be some sacrifice for everybody.
Well,
Anyway, that's fine.
just to, I'm sorry.
You're fine.
I feel like we do know this, you were saying we don't know their situation, I feel like we do.
We've been great.
I feel like we do know this situation because we've discussed it multiple times with them.
As far as their actual budget?
Yeah.
Okay, well, what's their surplus?
They're on a shoestring like we are, and they're not.
I don't know about that.
Okay.
That's not true.
That's true, because you can ask me any question you want. We have a $21,000 a year operating budget, for which we have been able through grants and donations to meet about half of it. From 3 years ago, we had a large angel donation that we've been plucking at,
Yeah.
you know, that was for Operation Piecemealing and meeting our
For the gap.
what we have. We have a business plan, we have a strategic plan of more events, more concerts, more rentals, more all of that. And we had to get back on our feet too from COVID. When the doors opened, we had what, 4 members, husband, 4 or 5 members? And now we have 7, you know, we didn't have much bandwidth. And so, I mean, it took us a year to get on our feet as well. but that is our current operating.
But we have been being said, we have been briefed on that, you and I and the mayor are
Big
meeting.
event recently, but.
Then, yeah,
Yeah.
you and, can I finish talking, please? You and I and the mayor had a meeting with them where we looked at their budget, they've come to.
They presented.
Do you not remember going to the meeting where we talked about their lease
But
and
not,
saw their
not
budget?
recently.
Yes, recently, it was 2 months ago.
Well, they just had a huge event.
Oh, no, but. The point is, we've been briefed on what their annual budget is.
Right.
We know that this is what they can afford.
Uh,
We also know that there's nobody else lining up to rent that space. So for $600 a year. Which is what that extra 50 would be, for $600 a year, we don't wanna bite off our nose to spite our face. Because if we put the rent up too high, then we don't have an arts program in Scottsville anymore, which is very detrimental. People, when Persimetry players come in and put on plays and stuff, we have people coming from Richmond and Fairfax to see these plays. They're eating at our restaurants, they're seeing the town for the first time, and I think it could be very detrimental. To put a nonprofit arts program. In a position where, you know, if they can't rent it, then maybe just put all their focus up on the Scanland, and now we don't have a theater and music program anymore. I don't think that's worth $600 a year, you know, $50.
Any other discussion? If not, I'll ask the clerk to call for the vote.
Alex Bissett,
Yes.
Dan Gritsko,
Yes.
Meredith Hines,
Yes.
Bill Heisen,
oh,
Eileen Morse,
Yes.
Eddie Payne,
Yes.
motion passes 5-1.
Thank you. One thing y'all might wanna do is scan, which I don't think you do anymore, when I was president of it, we had membership. You bought a membership, and if you had a membership in scan, it was based on, you know, single person or family or whatever. You got a little discount on programs like dance and music programs. They want to reinstitute the
It's a good idea.
membership program, membership. program.
Did I sign you all up for membership?
Absolutely.
And honestly, I mean, that.
I was.
There's a little, you know, prestige in the theater world, I don't know. And I know,
I actually looked
I
at
know
it, it's on our.
you
drive,
know,
it's in
and
our
Amanda knows,
announcement, and it was, and then there were so many things that you guys were doing that we don't do now. It was really pretty, it was really a force to be reckoned with, you know, so it's gonna be exciting again, I'm sure, the new slate of officers.
people like to. Be
I
better.
don't think we have a founders
Be better
gala,
with the theater.
a gala event in spring.
Yeah.
You know, we have a new concert in November, we have someone teaching private dance lessons, we have, it's exciting. But we appreciate you, and I heard you loud and clear that you're hurting from it, I did hear you, Mr. Hudson, I really did. I get it.
Let's move on.
I work for profit corporate lawyers, I hear you.
yeah.
Since we've settled it, at least now, let's move on to item B. Town administrator.
What? Oh, we're doing time.
Different issue.
Different issue.
This is a long one, where's my son?
I think we have mentioned this previously. I'll just read out my staff report. Following a public hearing, town council should consider You're going to public, a resolution on expenses. A budget amendment to add expenses for 2,519 for Canal Basin. If there's nothing's developed since previous months we've spoken about this, beyond that, I just have language out.
I have a public hearing. Yes, everybody knows what we're talking about. Open public hearing on this item. One wishing to speak, step forward. Close the public hearing, I'm gonna turn it back over to the town administrator, any further instruction?
Relatively straightforward. I think last month I shared a table explaining how we got to the total of about 2,519. We had relatively straightforward ordinance amending, and I think we would be on track with the communication I'm having to continue the work that I've seen communicated for a while we need to do on Canal Basin. So we'll add that on top of the 5,000 we have in our current budget to continue work on CVS.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a proposal that we set the motion to include this 2519 on the 2024-25 budget.
Second.
Second, any discussion?
I just want to say thank you to everybody who's been involved on behalf of all. We're thankful. I think Councilor Kane made a good point of the need for ongoing repairs, and to be honest with you, often I've been somebody who's interested in new things, and I think Councilor Kane makes good point about we got to take good care of the old things, something like this that have been very critical in the town's history, and also it's in good faith with somebody who's trying to do the best they can to help the town. So thank you to everybody for bringing this to the room.
Vote.
Yes. Roll.
Alex Bissett,
Yes.
Dan Gritsko,
Yes.
Meredith Hines,
Yes.
Bill Heisen, Eileen Morse.
Yeah.
Eddie Payne.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Mr. Town Administrator, you lead us into discussion on policy and procedure of town relations.
Yeah, so previously in our last week's work session, we discussed about an updated policy around procedures for town donations. I spoke with Bill Heisen during the week about brainstorming a little bit. What I wanted, what was requested was to include this as a agenda item to just start the conversation on one process. Bill reached out to the county, but we also have a supervisor here for a little, to explain a little bit of their process.
Well, one of the things is, I looked at you, but they haven't got back to me, but the idea is to come up with criteria for getting donations. And I know you have a policy on that, but what I thought about, we could either have two policies, we can come up with criteria, what would qualify, and that's not selecting who gets the donations, but what are the criteria you're looking for to give those donations? Because we haven't really discussed that and looked at that, so we could either do that, or we could turn that over to government services, they can come up with criteria for the donations. So I'm not sure if anybody has an interest in doing that. I mean, I would be one to come up with criteria, or two other councils to do that themselves, to come up with it. Based on.
That's something I'm interested in.
Or
Only because I feel like this,
and we can look at what.
this Canal Basin Square
Like,
donation that we got really kind of brought into focus for me, that we do need
right.
more of a policy, you know.
All right, well, if anybody else is interested, we can like that. But maybe I can, I've asked the county to get their criteria, and they haven't got that yet, but I'm sure they will, about how they select. Is it based on need? Is it based on locality? Because I know they have, actually, I looked at, they did about 75,000 last year to various organizations, and Goodwill and the Haven.
So if we're talking about
We're talking about local.
I misunderstood what you were saying.
Yeah, I worried about that.
I apologize. I would still like to be a part of this conversation. I thought when I said town donations, I thought we were talking about donations to the town.
Oh, no.
You're talking about donations from the town.
That's right.
I apologize, it's been a very long.
Or is that what you did to the voices?
I now
So why don't we
understand.
do this? We can go do, the good works.
I'm back, yeah, I'm back
Yeah.
on board.
But anyway, I'd like to find out more about. Which might be quite clear, what, to give a stand. So,
Let me, if we do, the chamber does a citizen of the year, it's a very simple thing. Who you're nominating, why are you nominating, what have they done to help the community? Let them fill it out and submit it by a certain date, and then we can, the committee, whether it's government services or whoever it might be, because the committee looks over the applications and rates them.
that's what I did. That's what I
Say,
did.
we think, our committee thinks this one should be number one, this one should be number two, this one should be number three. And then we vote.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea, but the thing is, I think some could get left out, and I think in the county, they have an application process, right?
There is an application process.
So we don't have an application, like, say like a small group, like say, baseball, or say, SCAN, or the museum. Wanted to submit something, there's a way they can do that.
But that's what the mayor is talking about, right?
Well, no, he's talking about doing the chart, we're talking about doing it with the town, not with the chamber of commerce.
No, I understand, but what he's saying
The
is
chamber
copy what the
wants
chamber has
Oh,
done.
okay,
Yeah,
yeah,
God,
yeah,
you just name the organization. You just
Keep it
say why they want, why they think they deserve it, and what have they done for the
Okay.
community.
okay, yeah, okay.
And then it goes into committee, they rate them, you know, from
Okay.
first to last, and then make a recommendation to council and council vote. Really simple.
I'll send you a copy of what the chamber uses.
Well,
If there's a question on the county process, so currently there's something called the agency budget review team, which is a mouthful, that's what we've historically used. Organizations submit an application that is. Frankly, probably more onerous than either what the Chamber of Commerce or the town of Scottsville currently uses. Those things go before a board, which ranks them on the quality of the application itself, as in like. How thoughtful it's been put together, how well they identify what they're going to accomplish. Then our Department of Human Services reviews those recommendations based on simply the quality of the application. They look at also the identified priorities and the ongoing funding that are in the past, so there's kind of an amount of inertia that goes into funding. And that comes as a final recommendation as part of our annual budget process, where the board recommends the whole. That being said, I should also recognize there's been a lot of frustration by specifically the elected members, myself and other members of the board, that this is not a very agile process.
Right.
And it doesn't necessarily always reflect where we're saying as a board, our priorities are. That inertia piece gets on some people's nerves. I am not sure, Councilor Hudson, I can definitely get you what one of our applications would look
Yeah.
like, and I can pull that. It might not be as applicable to the work of the town of Scottsville, because our process is a natural one. It does involve like identifying metrics that we're going to then evaluate them against and request ongoing performance, even for relatively small dollar grants.
And I think that point of agility is really well made. I mean, I think we need just something lightweight
small.
that we can do very easily. I like what the mayor suggested. And then implement it, and then the committee has some kind of rubric that they put to it, and then make a recommendation in council vote.
Okay, I'll get those applications and we'll bring them to government services, and then let them take a look at it, see what the.
I'll shoot our Director of Human Services.
Yeah, we want something small and simple, but we want to open it up to, organizations.
Moving on, the next two items are discussion only, we'll discuss them tonight, then we can fine tune our discussion at the work session in October, and move on to the town meeting in October, so for town administrator, we want to explain the first one, item D, seven D.
Yeah, so, want to thank, Jim Bowling and Melanie Porter for working on this, last week. So essentially, we took a, draft that we had presented to town council maybe a year ago, actually, I think a year ago. And then, I passed along a draft that government services had created to, Melanie Porter, and asked for them to kind of, put together something that might be an appealing, policy and document for town council. Beyond that, I stress that, I just want to present this for discussion and, so, town council has some material to chew on, as the mayor said, for future consideration. Seems pretty boilerplate.
Yeah. We kind of got lost like 6 months ago, so let's keep it on there until we come up with something, whatever it is.
The first assignment before the next work session is go over those thoughts about it and see what kind of changes you want to make.
14,
And the next item is the same.
Debbie, can I ask one question, Mr. Mayor? What is the Scottsville board?
ARB.
ARB.
Okay, that would be helpful. Written like that.
I got a little copy of it, I can do.
Yeah,
for you
that's
next
okay.
week.
I was just a little confused. I didn't want,
This is are these in our packets? Cause I don't have them.
It's way in the back, I just found mine, I thought I'd have it.
I looked at
It's
it back.
behind this.
I have 2 copies of a commercial real estate lease. So I think maybe I got the wrong copies. Yeah, okay, thank you. And thanks. If it's homework, I'm gonna make sure I have the right material.
And then the same for item 70. Melanie and Jim Bowling worked on a volunteer form. They included the language that town council requested about an indemnity clause and then a clear non-compensation clause. Following town council's recommendation. I think it might be prudent and staff might recommend that you're able to review that and then discuss it during the work session. Seems to be the procedure you guys
I
enjoy.
think the language in the first part needs to be changed a little bit, because it says our organization, I think it just should be our town. Because it's really about the town, and then they talk about our missions, I think that should be changed, I like the last part as a volunteer, that's real good. And then the other thing I'd like to put in there, it says parks, I do think BCNA is in there, that's where we need volunteers more than anything. And butterfly garden, instead of Garen. Anyway, we need some editing.
Yeah, well, that's why it's just a draft, right? Well, we'll give
But
comments.
I'd
to work.
like to get up with this up and make it real clear.
Would you be able to pass that along to our clerk in an
Yeah.
email?
Yes, done.
Yes, clerk was working on this.
That's our clerk.
I can pass it out. Sure, I'll come up with some things and edit it a little bit. Right.
We make the edits, we make the recommendations, and we'll fine tune it.
Yeah, I think it's great to have this. It's great.
Get into effect before the end of August.
And thank you for taking action on that.
Yes. Glad we're all-
You're welcome.
Okay, anything else on anybody's mind?
Now, can I just say to Councilor Griswold, I hope my comments before did not come off as shoot the messenger with respect to the planning commission. But I just wanted to make sure that the planning commission understands that there's a serious time frame that has to be met. So my apologies if it came off harsher to at you than a harsh message. directed to the I know, arrow came, and I just didn't want you to think I'm shooting the messenger. I realize you are the liaison and I apologize.
Don't worry.
So, that being said, thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor.
Thank you. It's good to see you. Come more often. We want to see you more often.
Motion to adjourn.
Yeah, looking to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Yeah, we're done.
I would just like to say thank you.
Let me say one thing before y'all leave, I'm gonna be gone for 3 weeks, Payne's gonna be in charge for Wednesday.
Oh, I thought I got a 2-week notice.
Hardly time.
Until Wednesday.
So you're leaving, so you're leaving, this, okay. All righty, well, I'm available, so.
You're in charge. It's
Sure.
party time.
Yeah,
Eddie will be bugging him.
that's all right. I bug you all too, so.
Yeah. No one guy. Yeah. Not one chat.
Upgrade, roll jack.